In autumn 2025, a chill sweeps across America's farm belt, an uneasy quiet settling over the land as the days grow shorter and the winds turn cold. And it's not just the weather that's changing, there's a deeper sense of foreboding in the air. Economic uncertainty, fueled by sweeping new trade and energy policies from Washington, has left farmers and companies like John Deere reeling, unsure of what the next season will bring. The administration's tariffs, intended to protect American interests, have instead triggered a cycle of crisis. Higher costs, retaliatory tariffs from trading partners, and government aid that feels like a bandage on a self-inflicted wound, offering little comfort to those who depend on the land for their livelihoods. Tariffs on steel and aluminum have driven up manufacturing costs for John Deere, making it harder for the company to compete and innovate. These rising costs trickle down to farmers already struggling to stay afloat, squeezing their margins even further as crop prices fall. The impact is no longer theoretical, it's visible in empty lots, idle equipment, and the growing anxiety in rural communities. From factory floors in Illinois where workers worry about their jobs, to soybean fields in Iowa where farmers face tough choices about planting and harvest, the sense of crisis is real and growing, echoing through town halls and local headlines. John Deere's recent layoffs are a stark symbol of the pressure facing American agriculture, sending shockwaves through entire communities. This isn't just about tractors and tariffs, it's about families, communities, and the traditions that bind them together. The uncertain future of the heartland hangs in the balance. The storm is here, and its effects are rippling far beyond the fields, touching every corner of rural America, and beyond. John Deere's green and yellow machines have long symbolized American farming's strength, but in 2025, the company is announcing major layoffs at key plants, direct fallout from a shrinking market. When farmers can't afford new equipment, orders dry up, and factories slow to a crawl. These layoffs aren't just numbers, they're skilled workers, many with decades of experience now facing an uncertain future. The root cause: tariffs that raised John Deere's costs and triggered foreign retaliation, slashing crop prices and squeezing farmers from both sides. Farmers are patching up old machines, delaying purchases, and hoping for better days. The slowdown hits entire communities. Local businesses, schools, and services all feel the strain. Each lost job at John Deere ripples through the local economy, amplifying anxiety and hardship. The layoffs are a clear warning. Decisions in Washington have real, painful consequences far from the capital. The heartland's economic engine is sputtering, and the effects are everywhere. Tariffs were supposed to protect American workers, shielding jobs and industries from foreign competition, and keeping the American dream alive for families across the country. But for farmers, these same tariffs have become a double-edged sword, cutting both ways and leaving many in a difficult position. Tariffs on steel and aluminum drove up the cost of every tractor and combine, forcing John Deere and other manufacturers to raise prices on the very equipment farmers rely on to do their jobs. Farmers now face higher costs for equipment and essential inputs, from machinery parts to fertilizer and even basic repairs, squeezing already thin profit margins. Meanwhile, countries like China retaliated with tariffs on U.S. crops, especially soybeans, causing prices to collapse and export markets to dry up almost overnight. The result is a painful squeeze. Farmers pay more to produce their crops, with every season bringing new financial uncertainty. And when it comes time to sell, they earn less than ever before, watching the value of their hard work plummet. The policy meant to help has instead deepened financial stress, with some warning of a crisis not seen since the 1980s, as farm bankruptcies and foreclosures rise. Resilient and patriotic, farmers now feel betrayed, caught in a trade war with no end in sight, their livelihoods hanging in the balance. Even longtime supporters in Congress are sounding the alarm, calling the tariffs a stupid policy and demanding urgent action to protect rural America. The double-edged sword of tariffs is cutting deep, leaving hardship, frustration, and resentment across the heartland. As communities struggle to survive, the paradox is clear. A policy designed to protect is now causing real harm, forcing America's farmers to question what the future holds. For years, China was the top buyer of American soybeans, anchoring the Midwest farm economy. The trade war changed everything. China didn't just stop buying, they turned to Brazil, investing in ports and infrastructure to secure a new supply. By 2025, Brazil produces 42% more soybeans than the U.S., nearly meeting China's entire demand. U.S. soybean exports to China have plummeted, and new orders have dried up. This isn't a temporary setback, it's a permanent shift in global trade. the U.S. agricultural trade balance has swung to a record deficit, driven by the collapse in soybean exports. For John Deere, fewer soybeans mean fewer acres planted and less demand for equipment. The loss of the Chinese market has shrunk farm profits, and the market for new machinery. The heartland is left out in the cold, with no easy path to recovery. Just as farmers were reeling from trade turmoil, another blow landed. In October 2025, the administration abruptly canceled $8 billion in clean energy projects across 16 states. These projects promised jobs, investment, and a new market for companies like John Deere. The cancellation hit rural and industrial communities hard, pulling the plug on economic opportunities and future growth. For John Deere, clean energy was a potential lifeline, a way to diversify beyond traditional agriculture. And the decision was seen as political, but its impact was deeply personal for communities counting on new jobs and revenue. For many farmers, leasing land for wind or solar was a rare chance at stable income, now gone. The reversal deepened the sense of abandonment in rural America, as another promise vanished. Across the Midwest, farmers voice frustration and anxiety as costs soar and incomes fall. Fertilizer prices are up 30% in a year, while soybean prices hit new lows. Bankers are tightening lending, and some farmers are forced to consider selling land to survive. The loss of the Chinese market stings most. Decades of relationship building undone in just a few years. Farmers feel like pawns in a trade war they never asked for, paying the steepest price. The clean energy cancellations add insult to injury, erasing hopes for stable, diversified income. "That wind project was our safety net," says a Minnesota farmer. Now, that's gone. Conversations in coffee shops and grain elevators are about debt and survival, not yields. The sense of betrayal is deep as rural America feels left behind by decisions made far away. The crisis is personal, and the pain is everywhere. The farm crisis doesn't stop at the field's edge. It hits Main Street too. The impact stretches far beyond the fields, reaching deep into the heart of rural communities and affecting nearly every aspect of daily life. John Deere dealerships are stuck with unsold equipment, and local businesses see sales plummet. The ripple effect is immediate. When farmers can't buy, the whole supply chain feels the strain. Hardware stores, car dealers, and diners all feel the pinch as farmers and factory workers cut back. Even the local grocery store and pharmacy see fewer customers as families tighten their belts and prioritize only the essentials. The anxiety is palpable. People are holding on to their money, unsure what's next. Conversations in cafes and at community gatherings are filled with worry and uncertainty about the future. Layoffs at major employers like John Deere create a vacuum, forcing families to cut spending and small businesses to lay off workers or close. The loss of steady paychecks means less money circulating in town, and the effects snowball quickly. The local tax base shrinks, threatening schools and public services. Teachers, firefighters, and librarians worry about their jobs, and children face fewer opportunities as resources dry up. The cancellation of clean energy projects is another lost chance for jobs and revitalization. Hopes for new industries and a brighter future are put on hold, leaving communities in limbo. "That hydrogen plant was our big hope," says a local mayor. "Now, we're back to square one." The sense of disappointment is shared by many, as dreams of progress slip further away. The dream of a vibrant rural America is fading, replaced by mounting challenges and dwindling hopes. Once bustling towns now struggle to hold on to their identity and sense of community. National policy decisions are playing out in very personal, painful ways. For many, the headlines are not just news, they're lived reality, shaping the course of their everyday lives. The ripple effect is real, and it's reshaping the heartland. Across rural America, communities are searching for hope and resilience in the face of relentless change. As the 2025 harvest ends, American agriculture stands at a crossroads. Trade wars, lost markets, and policy reversals have damaged the economic model that sustained rural America for generations. The U.S. agricultural trade deficit is growing, and China's pivot to Brazil looks permanent. Without a new strategy, more farmers may be forced to downsize or leave the industry, accelerating consolidation and changing rural life. Political divisions in Washington leave farmers and manufacturers in limbo, unable to plan for the future. The story of John Deere's struggles is a warning: policy decisions have real-world consequences. Actions meant to show strength can weaken the nation's economic backbone. Recovery will require more than resilience. It demands a fundamental rethink of trade, energy, and farm policy. Leaders must listen to the voices from the fields and Main Street, building a strategy that supports, not sacrifices, the heartland. The choices made now will decide if the storm passes or becomes the new normal.